Okay, good afternoon. We'll convene the Standing Committee for Public Accounts at this time. I'd like to introduce the members, Deputy Chair, Mr. McMorris, Ms. Lambert, Mr. Weeks, Ms. Mowat. No substitutions today. I would note that we are practicing physical distancing here today and that the meeting's been organized with the guidance of the committee clerk, Rob Park, on this front. So we've reduced the number of members that we've invited to this meeting today, but we have the official quorum that we require, and we're 6 feet apart. I thought Rob Park might have hockey sticks between us or something here, but we're set up well. And thank you so much to the auditor for joining us here today and her official. We have the following items to table. PAC 11228, Ministry of Health, responses to questions asked February 24th, 2020. PAC 11328, Ministry of Education, report of public losses for December 1st, 2019 to February 29th, 2020. PAC 11428, Ministry of Central Services, responses to questions asked February 26th, 2020. PAC 11528, Provincial Auditor of Saskatchewan, fourth quarter report 2019-20. PAC 11628, Ministry of Advanced Education, public losses January 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2020. PAC 11728, Provincial Auditor of Saskatchewan, request for a special warrant. As the last document that I tabled noted, the committee's received a request from the Provincial Auditor of Saskatchewan for a special warrant. This is why we're gathered here today in limited numbers to discuss the request. And I guess it's the extraordinary circumstances we find ourselves in during COVID-19 that causes us to have to utilize a special warrant at this time to make sure that the funding for the auditor continues in the immediate months ahead. I think it's fair to say that ideally in the months ahead, we won't be back dealing with a special warrant at this table, that will have a properly authorized, scrutinized past budget. But this is an essential bit of work here today to make sure the auditor has the funding that she requires. At this time, I'd introduce our Provincial Auditor, Judy Ferguson, and I'd ask her to introduce her official and offer any opening remarks that she'd care to offer with respect to the warrant before us today.
Thank you, Chair, Deputy Chair, and members. With me this afternoon, I've got Ms. Angel Boris. Angel's Deputy Provincial Auditor, our Chief Operating Officer also, and she's integral in terms of the administration of our office here. So, just continue with my Sure. So, as was indicated by the Chair, our office is requesting that the committee recommend to the Minister of Finance that Cabinet authorize a special warrant for our office. We're asking for 3/12 of the prior year's appropriation. And if you notice, it's our operating appropriation. It's the PA01 appropriation. That is what we're basing it on. So it's 3/12 of that. We understand that that percentage is consistent with what the other legislative officers have requested and has been recommended by the Board of Internal Economy to the Minister of Finance, and hence as a recommendation to Cabinet the Council. That's why we're here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing this forward to us. I'll open it up to committee members for any questions they may have of the auditor or with respect to this warrant. Ms. Mowat.
Thank you very much. I think we're certainly going to be supportive of recommending the special warrant approval. The work that your office does is something we're quite involved in here, and we've approved the annual plan, and all of these pieces obviously are required in order to be able to move forward. I do have a few questions. You mentioned the fact that the special warrant request of 3/12 ending on August 31st is consistent with other departments. Is that consistent with what has been provided already in the special warrant that government, the $4 billion special warrant that government provided to itself? Like everything is consistently supposed to end on August 31st?
To date, the special warrant that's been issued is actually for ministries. Do you know the percentage? I actually, off the top, I do not know what the percentage would be, what the ratio would be on that. What we did is we looked to what was requested by the other legislative officers for the as in terms of percentage.
Okay, thank you. And I'm wondering, in terms of the unique times that we're in, if you see the scope of your work expanding at all, considering the lack of legislative scrutiny that exists?
Where we're at right now is at this point in time, we call it financial statement audit season, frankly, because the government has mostly March year ends. So our focus right now is on financial statement audits. We do know that we will have some delays in some performance work that we were planning to do, particularly in the health sector and the corrections and public safety sectors. So we are looking at what other work we should be doing in absence of that work. We also recognize that there's a number of new programs that the government has put forward. June is typically our planning cycle for our performance work. So, once we get into June, we'll be discussing in terms of what work should we be doing. We recognize that looking at some of these newer programs would be good to do so.
Thank you. It certainly makes sense that there would be delays in the performance work right now. Can you elaborate a little bit on which performance audits you expect to be delayed that folks might have been expecting to come out in the next report?
It's basically, well, there was a follow-up work that we were doing at Corrections and Public Safety that related to basically the delivery of health services to inmates. That follow-up has been delayed. Because as you can appreciate, we can't go into the correctional facilities at this point in time. And also, frankly, the staff there are quite concerned in terms of managing the COVID situation. Other than that, it's really the ones when you look in terms of the healthcare sector. We were hoping to do some work in terms of retention of nurses in northern Saskatchewan. We're looking to see if we can continue to do that particular audit at this point in time. As you can appreciate, it is in the north that we have the bulk of the cases in terms of COVID-19 at this period of time. So we don't think it would be prudent to expect staff up there to divert their attention to spend time with the auditors. Frankly, they're saving lives up there. So, that's one in particular that.
And I would suspect that if there are delays in performance work, there may need to be budget adjustments accordingly within your operating budget.
Typically, what we do is we have a rolling 3-year plan, and so what we'll do is we'll look at that next suite of audits that we were planning to do, see which ones of those we can do earlier. As I indicated, we recognize situations change. There's a number of programs that exist now that when we did the planning cycle last time around, they weren't in play. So it's whether or not we should be doing work in those areas. So it's a matter of really, adjusting based on the priorities. And frankly, it's a risk assessment. We look through the lens of a risk assessment. And, what areas do we think the Legislative Assembly need to focus on?
Thank you. Is there any intention to audit the Saskatchewan Hospital North Battleford project?
We don't have that on our listing. What aspect were you thinking about that? We're always interested in ideas from the committee. What aspect were you thinking about?
In terms of the issues that we've seen with construction and in value for money, I suppose.
part of the audit, they're actually, that organization, that building itself is owned by Central Services. And part of the integrated audit, the financial audit at Central Services, will be looking at their oversight in terms of the payments that are going out. Just the same manner that we do with the Health Authority, for example. Again, it owns a T3. And so what we do as a part of the integrated audit, we look, when it's paying the bills, is it honoring what's in the agreement? And most of those agreements, they actually have situations where they can make deductions if they're not getting, if the P3 project code is not. So that would be part of the integrated audit for Central Services, and we do that as a matter of course. So we are doing the financial piece of it. That's the extent of it. So we are touching it in that respect.
Thank you. Well, I'll certainly support the special warrant today. I hope that this is the only time that we're here to do this and that we can get a budget forward so we're not back at this table again in August. But that concludes my questions, Mr. Chair.
Mr. McMorris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And yet this is extraordinary times, and we wish it wasn't working this way, but we're glad that it will come to an agreement and that the auditor is funded till the August 31st, and then we'll see what happens after that. No, I'm sure you're perfectly fine as we go after that, because I do want to say how important your work is, you know, not only for the opposition side, but for government side, how important the auditor's work is, and we don't want to see a lag in that. But I guess my question is a little bit similar to the opposition's in that, you know, how are you able to conduct some of the work now when so many people are working from home? You know, I haven't been in an office where the auditors have come in very often, but I've had a few experiences, and it does tend to change the dynamic in the office, and all of a sudden, you know, because the auditor's in, they're scrutinizing, they're interviewing different members of whatever, you know, usually the accounting side of it. But how are you able to conduct any work right now under these times? I'm interested. I'm just purely interested.
You know, what we, in some respects, you know, we got lucky, if you can be lucky in an unlucky time, but, you know, we got lucky in that this is our period of time where we are intensively doing financial statement audits. And financial statement audits in today's world, a lot of it is electronic. And so we are able to get access to the information electronically. Our audit files are all electronic. We have had to get a bit of different audit tools in our office to enable the supervision of staff doing remotely. It's honestly really cool because I can tell exactly who's in the file at the same time I am. I can tell what they're working on because the documents keep changing, you know. It's really neat in that regard. So, you know, we've got ability to supervise our team and connectivity. We still do interviews, but we're doing them either by phone or, you know, we've introduced some other tools to help in terms of that connectivity. So just doing it differently. By and large, we've got good cooperation from management teams. We have had the odd instance, a few instances where we have had to create a comfort level that we can, organizations are allowing their management teams to go and get that paper, you know, to get it scanned so that it can be shared electronically, or in some cases our staff have retrieved paper from locations too, but we're always, you know, very alert to the physical distancing. We've got approval processes for that to go into play. So, yeah, it's done differently. We are concerned about the performance audits, though, you know, because the performance audits, a lot of them aren't as electronic. If you think of our suicide prevention audit, I mean, the things that we recall in our findings, most of those files are manual files, you know. So we find in a lot of the program areas, a lot of that's manual. And so that's why we're thinking that our work in the health sector will be delayed, because to get into those organizations will be delayed, you know, because a lot of it's manual. So it'll be shifting, you know, where we're focusing our efforts on, you know, and such. So, yeah, it's been interesting.
So it would be fair to say then the timing is so important in your,
Lucky.
yeah, in that you can do the financial pieces and the performance will be conducted. So, you know, as a government, you can be reassured that the audits will take place. It may be a little delayed, but for the most part, from the auditor's perspective, from your perspective, it's been not work as usual, completely unusual, but work as usual.
Well, actually, the deadlines for the summary financial statement audit are changed. The deadlines for most of our financial statement audits remain unchanged. And frankly, it's taking I would suggest a very cooperative and a collaborative effort between our office and the management teams to, frankly, work in different work arrangements, to accommodate things just a little bit differently. Some of it is excellent lessons learned. Like, I think there's some things that we're doing now that we'll continue to do. There's other things that we won't, and we'll be happy not to have to do it that way. Is there inefficiencies? Yeah, we are hitting inefficiencies. We're trying to track that. We know that some things are taking longer than it did beforehand, but it kind of is what it is. But we're getting, the team's pulling together extremely well. It's quite proud of them.
That was just, I think you pretty much answered my last question, because my last question was going to be, what do you see going forward? I mean, this has changed everybody's work environment. We've all worked differently, I guess. And from your perspective, moving forward, what do you see? I mean, some of the procedures and practices will change probably for the better, and some will change back to the way they were. This could be a very beneficial time in the long run, if you want to put a silver lining on things, as to kind of reevaluating how we've all been doing things, and even in the auditor's office.
Yeah, I would agree. Like there's the one software tool that we're using now. We can see that it's a tool that when the teams go out to the field, that we'll continue to use that tool. It's been great. There's other things that we know that we'll be asking organizations that we audit different questions. Like as an employer, I'm concerned about providing my workers with a safe workplace. And that's not just in our office, because I send them out to the field. So I'm going to, so we're going to have to create protocols where we're going to have to make sure that the workplace that that my staff will be working within, again, it's going to be safe workplaces from a different dimension than previously. So there's some differences there. We've already done some different restructuring in the office to get ready for staff to return to work in the office. We've got starting to get stickers on the floors, and reconfiguring different things and such. But we got lucky again on some stuff. We've got really old workstations for staff that have the higher cubicles, and we understand the higher cubicles are good. So, we'll be able to use those. But there will be a few costs that we will have to incur just to make sure that, again, people are bringing people into a safe work environment. Learning lots.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments from committee members? Just thank you so very much for your work in these extraordinary times, and to all those as well that you're auditing and working with. It's quite the moment in the province, and everyone's focused on protecting the health and lives of Saskatchewan people and livelihoods. And without a doubt, it's an incredible transition and disruption to the way people have operated and workplaces have operated. So thanks for your comments here today. I'm glad that we can secure your funding for the immediate time. We hope to ensure that you have secure funds for the year very soon. As well. And thanks for speaking to the adjustment in your assignment as far as what you're focused on and what you're able to, what you can't proceed with right now, but what you're able to move ahead. And I appreciated hearing your focus as well, that of course there's new programs that have had to evolve very quickly to respond to the needs of people, but certainly your engagement will be really important as well to make sure for proper oversight and controls and integrity of those programs as well. So thank you for all your work, and please let us know as your committee, as an advisor to this committee, any changes as you move forward or additional pressures and support that you may require. At this point, I would open it up for a motion with respect to, I guess, recommendation of the warrant. Mr. McMorris.
Thank you. That the Standing Committee on Public Accounts recommend a special warrant in the amount of $1,980,300, being 3/12 of the 2021 funding previously approved for Vote 28, the Provincial Auditor of Saskatchewan estimates, and further that the said amount, as approved, be forwarded to the Minister of Finance pursuant to Section 10.23B of the Provincial Auditors Act. I so move.
Moved by Mr. McMorris. Thank you very much. All in favor? I hear agreed. So that's carried. So the warrant, we will now send that letter to the Minister of Finance here as well. I think I have to sign these.
Windy on the highway today. What's that? It's windy on the highway.
Just the one motion. And the two letters.
Sign the motion and the letter to the Minister of Finance. Thank you to everyone for coming, making this work around the table. Be safe to everyone as you make your way back to your respective homes and communities. And thank you to the auditor for her time and work here as well today. So thanks so much. Without anything else, I would welcome a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mr. Weeks. All agreed? That's carried. This committee stands adjourned until the call of the chair.